Hi everyone, welcome back to Brianna's Bookshelf. So today we are starting off a reading vlog, and this is going to be kind of a part 2 to my previous dark romance reading vlog that I did last fall. So we're going to be trying to read 3 different dark romance books. And we're going to be continuing the series that I started in the last one. And the last vlog is linked below if you are curious to see that one first. We're going to be continuing the Rina series by reading God of Pain. And then I will also be continuing the North Shore series by Lola King. And we're going to read the second book from that series. And then last but not least, we're going to read the third book from Hollow Boys series. So without further ado, let's get into the reading. Hi vlog, I am sitting outside at the moment despite the fact that it is currently around 45 degrees because it's very sunny and I wanted to soak up some sun, so I'm all bundled up laying out here on the deck. But I have an update for God of Pain. I started reading it on Valentine's Day, which was very fitting. I actually was listening to it on a run, the audiobook, which I've never listened to an audiobook on a run before. I have a friend who does that and I'm like, I don't know how y'all are doing this, but I decided to just go for it and try, and it worked pretty well for an easy run to listen to it. And then I read more last night, kind of stayed up a while reading it actually because I got really hooked into it, and I ended up getting 50% of the way through. And so this is part of an interconnected standalone series. I don't know what the actual series name is, but all of the books are God of blank, and it's by Rina Kent. And so I already read the first book, and the second book I'm definitely liking more so far. I liked the first one, but I had some issues with it, and it was there was more non-con than I was expecting, and hadn't really read that before, so I was just unsure how to react to that, I guess. But this one does not have any non-con. There was a tiny bit of dub con, so just know that if that is a trigger for you. But yeah, overall there's quite a lot of consent, so I'm loving that. And we're following friends and relatives of the people who were in the first book. It's all the same characters. They're basically these 2 universities that are on the same island together, and they have at each school they have this kind of club thing that's I don't know how to describe it, just weird, scary frat vibes. So we're following Annika Volkov, who is the sister of one of the leaders of the Heathens. That's the other club. And then her love interest is Creighton King, who is basically the cousin of the girl who the first book is about. And he is not in either of the clubs, so he's not in the royal elites, but he does go to school with them, but he's just not part of the club. And there's sort of a mafia vibe going on because Annika is a mafia princess. Her brother and her family are all New York Bratva, and so Creighton King is English, and I forget exactly what their family does, the Kings, but they're very rich and powerful as well. And Creighton has a lot of he's just kind of an interesting character. So Annika, she's very sweet, very girly, she loves ballet, and she's honestly just such a sweetheart. Creighton, he is extremely quiet and closed off. He hangs out with their whole friend group, but he doesn't hardly talk at all. And Annika has been obsessed with him ever since she met him, and he didn't seem to show any interest back, but basically she had kind of kept pushing him, and he finally kind of snapped and started to show some interest in her. Basically he tried to warn her off because he said look, I have a really dark past, and I am quite violent and have very violent tendencies, and basically you don't know what you're getting into. And she just kind of pushes back, and they still end up interacting. And he is a sadist for sure, and I honestly love that representation because I feel in a lot of the dark romance books I've read, the guys are very controlling, or they'll experiment in some kinky stuff, but it's not very specifically outlined. They don't, I guess, talk about or identify with specific kinks, but Creighton is definitely a dom and a sadist, and I love that that's just like put out in the open and that is like part of who he is. Monica is like unsure of whether she's into that or how to react, but she quickly realizes that she is in fact interested in it and is a little bit more of a masochist than she realized. And so there are some very, very steamy scenes. It is really well written in my opinion, and I'm loving their relationship dynamics. And then we're also having some like kind of side drama where Creighton is trying to find out more about his past basically, and yeah, I'm really excited to continue. Again, I'm just really liking this one a lot, so I'm glad that I decided to continue the series. Hi vlog, I'm here to give you an update on God of Pain, and I'm also going to be getting ready while I film this because I have like less than 45 minutes until I need to leave to pick up my friend. We're gonna go and meet some of our other friends who live in a different city and go to happy hour and then also to see Wuthering Heights, which I'm very excited about. But yeah, I'm like at the end of my work day here and I'm like, whew, I did not get as much done as I thought I was going to. So here I am filming and doing my makeup at the same time. Hope you guys don't mind. But I am about 85% of the way through God of Pain right now. I've been continuing to listen to some on audio and do some reading on my Kindle. I'm normally not an audiobook girly. I find it hard to pay attention, but I feel like I might be convinced to be an audiobook while I'm running listener now. I did not think I could do it, but it truly makes it so I have to pay attention to the audiobook. Otherwise, I usually get distracted with other stuff. But when I'm running, I'm like, and I'm not having a good time basically. So I'm like desperately holding on to listening to the audiobook to feel something other than the pain of running. So that's how that's been going. And I am liking it. It's pretty crazy actually. So I'm still fairly happy with the kink representation. I think that's my favorite part of the book at the moment. I feel like compared to a lot of other kinky romance I've read, I really think that the sadism and masochism is very well like defined, and I love that they call it out specifically and use like the proper terms. So I feel like it's very educational in that way. Of course, being a dark romance, it is not going to be perfect, but I appreciate overall the way it's handled. I feel like it's better than it has been in other books I've read previously. And it was a crazy, crazy plot twist. And yeah, I can't say anything because it would be spoilers, but I was shook. Like, this book is crazy. Yeah, there's like crazy mafia stuff going on, and I kind of got mad at the female main character for a moment because of things she was doing, and I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And I actually really like the main character Creighton, so I was like, Annika, what the fuck are you doing? I mean, it is so out there. I do appreciate that it's not just the usual like miscommunication trope where there's like a slight miscommunication and it gets blown up ridiculously. Like, I hate that, so I'm very happy that that's not the case. But yeah, what's happening instead is so crazy, but it is an entertaining time. And yeah, at the moment, I'm not too sure what I'll end up rating this once I finish. I feel like where I'm at right now, there's a lot of reconciliation to happen for the couple still, and I don't really know exactly how it's all gonna work out. So I will be finishing it hopefully when I come back from the movies later and deciding my full opinion then. I do like the series overall. I kind of think I'm probably going to end up continuing the series, like not like super quickly or anything, but over time I will continue because I am enjoying it. And I think it's just like a fun, silly time really. It definitely does not touch on many things that I feel like are of great importance or of great commentary. Like, it has nothing to do really with societal issues. All the people in it are very rich, very disconnected from the rest of reality. If anything, I feel like there is a little bit of touching on mental health, but yeah, again, still it's nothing that is like blowing my mind or making me feel like, wow, this book has such good representation. It's really just a fun, sexy time. And as someone who struggles to get into contemporary romance, I am finding that the added plot craziness is something that I'm really enjoying. So I'm happy that I'm continuing to delve into this genre. I do feel like I keep thinking like, oh my gosh, this is not that deep, like I should be reading something more impactful. But like, come on girl, we could read a fun book every once in a while, can't we? So that's what I'm trying to remind myself. And I'm also kind of scared to go to Wuthering Heights. Sorry, it's like totally different topic, but I don't know what I'm gonna think. I feel like Wuthering Heights, some people like want to say it's a dark romance. I don't know if that's the case. I have in fact read the book. This was a few years ago and I was pretty freshly back into reading at the time and felt like it was one of those books that I just should read, but I feel like I was not ready for the language and pacing of a classic at that point, and really, yeah, did not understand it well, did not really enjoy it, was kind of like, what is this? Like, did I read the same book that y'all are obsessed with? I feel like I've heard that this version very much plays up the sexiness, maybe the darkness too, I'm not really sure, but that it gets rid of like every other plot point and discussion we had in the book. And honestly, like when I read the book, I was not into the romance. I did not feel like it was a romance. I was like, I don't see anything between the two of you. I don't know what y'all are on. Maybe it was a failing of me to not read the text correctly, or just the time in which I read it. So I was not ready to analyze the text that deeply. But I do know that I remember there being like a lot of kind of ghost stuff that was happening in the beginning. So it was like very spooky gothic. And I've heard that that's not something that they focus on in the movie, so don't love that because I feel like that was one of the more stronger parts of the book for me personally. And there's obviously in the book, when you read it, there's like a lot of, I guess, kind of like racial and immigration type stuff going on because Heathcliff is basically like alluded to not being white, and I've heard like different things about, you know, based on historical context, maybe he was Romani or this or that, but yeah, I feel like that's a main part of the story, and him being kind of ostracized is him being this non-white child who like becomes a part of this white family. And obviously Jacob Elordi is white, and I feel like that whole portion of the book is going to be lost and the romance is just going to be played up. And again, like I said, that was like the opposite of what I perceived from the story when I read the book. So I don't know, y'all. We're gonna find out. It could still be a fun time, and I know I'm gonna have a fun time regardless because we're gonna go out and get some snackies and some soda and popcorn and talk with the girlies about the movie, and I simply cannot wait. Hi vlog, it's time for an update. I am currently sitting in my kitchen because I am waiting for my soup to come to a boil, and then I will go back to cooking dinner. But I had to jump on here real fast and give some updates. So I did end up finishing God of Pain by Rina Kent, and unfortunately I did not like the ending, you guys. I was pretty happy with it up until that point. Like, it was just a silly fun time. Again, I thought that there were so many good aspects to it, there was like really crazy stuff happening, but the way that it got resolved, I just thought was honestly so strange. And yeah, I didn't like it at all. And I feel like I was just trying to get through the end. And yeah, we also got like added perspectives that I just didn't care about. But I didn't like hate the end. I just like didn't really think it made sense and felt like it could have been handled way better. So I think I'm gonna give it 3 stars, which is a bummer. I thought that I was gonna end up giving it 4 stars because I was liking it so much before, but that's okay, you know, it happens. I feel like I would still definitely try Rina Kent in the future and continue this series because I really like the friend group that's following, and I feel like the dark romance is done fairly well, where it's dark, but still feels lighthearted in some aspects. Like there's a lot of fun banter and it's enjoyable to read. It's not like super duper heavy throughout. So I'm finding that I enjoy that. And I started, what is it called? I would literally need to look it up. I don't know why I cannot for the life of me remember the name of this book. Oh, dang it, I just popped off a nail. I was scratching myself and I shouldn't have been doing that. Anyhow, it's the sequel to Beautiful Fiend, and it's the second book in the North Shore series. I'm not sure what it's called, but I will pop up a picture. I started it on my Kindle last night, and I got about 15% of the way, and I decided to DNF it, you guys. I fear that Lola King is just not for me. I feel like I wanted to like her books because I've heard that they're like really truly dark, and I don't even know why I wanted to like that. I just like, I'd heard some good things about a few of her series and had excitement about it, but both Beautiful Fiend and this second book, they both started with some pretty intense non-con scenes. And I mean, the first book in the first book in that Rina Kent series, whatever it's called, I don't know why I can't remember anything right now. Anyhow, that book had non-con too, but something about these Lola King books, it feels so much more aggressively non-consensual in a way that I just like can't even look past it. And I realized that the male main character in this second book is one of the characters from the first book who I actually really did not like. So I'm like, yeah, this is just a no for me. I think that Lola King's not for me. There's too much non-con. I'm discovering that I can take a tiny bit of it, but it's really not for me in large doses. And, you know, I think that's completely okay. Obviously, no one has to read things that they're triggered by or don't enjoy. Like, I kind of just end up hating the guy the whole time. I just am not enjoying Lola King or the series. Yes, we're giving up on the Lola King series. I am gonna look around a little bit later at what other dark romance books sound appealing to me that I can get on my Kindle easily. And we might pick something else, or I might just jump straight into the next book in the Hollow Boys series because I have really been enjoying that so far. So we will see. Also, I did watch Wuthering Heights. Oh my god, I just broke another nail. What the fuck, you guys? It's in my hair. Apparently, I fidget too much when I film. I'll glue those back on later. No nails were harmed in the making of this video. I have tons of thoughts on Wuthering Heights. Well, I guess not tons, but some. But I will tell you guys later because I think that my alarm on the soup is about to go off. So I will see you later for thoughts on Wuthering Heights and my next reading update. Hi vlog, I'm here with another update. I have my little microphone because I think I finally figured out how to get it to work. I feel like these things are supposed to be so easy, but I never fail to struggle with technology. So time will tell once I go back to edit and compare this to the other clips to see whether or not the mic is working, but I'm pretty sure it is when I was testing it before. So that's good news. So last I talked to y'all, I had just DNF'd the Lola King book, and I decided to go ahead with the next book in the Hollow Boys series because so far that has been the most successful dark romance series for me personally out of what I've tried, which is a fairly small sample size, but I have been enjoying it. And so the next book is The Blood We Crave Part 1. So this couples section is actually divided into 2 books rather than just 1 book like the rest of the series has been. I'm just planning to read the first book for now, Part 1, because they're fairly long, but I'm really enjoying it. It's definitely coded for the horror girlies for sure, because there is like a lot of gore and violence in this book. So yeah, if you're not a horror girly, I would maybe not read this unless you feel like you can handle some body horror. But basically, we're following our main characters, Lyra and Thatcher, and they have this strange connection that when Lyra and Thatcher were children, Thatcher's father was a serial killer and he killed Lyra's mother while Lyra was there in the room hiding, and she had to like witness this. So obviously she's pretty like scarred from that, but she deals with it in very strange ways. She actually has kind of an obsession with Thatcher, so I feel like it's kind of giving She Falls First so far. And Thatcher, a lot of people in town like to gossip about whether he takes after his father and has some sort of violent tendencies. And there's a lot of description of the different violence that has gone on as a result of this. Definitely like being in the mind of a serial killer and listening to them like do very gruesome things and enjoy it. So you have to be able to get through that. And I'm only like 15% of the way in, so there has not been much interaction between Lyra and Thatcher so far. Like I don't think they really talk or interact. This is the third book in the series, like I said. So in the series there's like a group of guys who are friends and they're called the Hollow Boys, and Thatcher is one of these guys, and then we're following all of the girls that basically become all the guys' girlfriends. And so far in the first two books, Lyra and Thatcher were in them, but like did not interact at all, and had like kind of a strange vibe of like avoiding each other. So I'm very excited to now get to their book because I feel like it's gonna be crazy, especially the fact that it's two parts. I have no idea how Lyra is gonna fall in love with someone whose dad murdered her mother is crazy. So yeah, this is wild, but I'm interested in the direction it's going in, and I cannot wait to find out more. I also wanted to give you all an update on Wuthering Heights, my opinion on it, because I told you I was going to give that when I took a clip the other day. So here is my opinion on Wuthering Heights. I enjoyed the movie. I did. I didn't love it though. I have read the book. It's been some years, and I feel like I was not in the right time to read the book when I did. Like I wasn't ready to appreciate a classic like that. And I didn't love the book either. I found it challenging to read at the time, and I basically hated all the characters, and I thought it was supposed to be some kind of a gothic romance, and I was like, this is fucked up and not romantic at all, and I hate it. Well, I didn't hate it, but I hated the romance part of it, the romantic elements, but I enjoyed like kind of the gothic descriptions and things, and like the setting of the moors. So the new movie is definitely an interpretation. I know we've heard that this is like Emerald Fennell's idea of what Wuthering Heights was when she was 14 or something like that. And so it feels accurate to that in that the romance is very, very built up. It is extremely smutty in the movie. There's lots of sex scenes. I will say it's also visually gorgeous. I love just the way that was filmed, all of the set, the design, the costume design. Yeah, all of it is gorgeous. The way the things are shot, absolutely stunning. Love it. It almost felt like Alice in Wonderland-esque in a way. But once again, I can't stand these characters, which I feel like is kind of the point, you know? But it just made me mad. And the whole time I was just like feeling like justice for Isabella because I loved her in the movie. Honestly, it's been so long since I read the book, I don't remember what actually happened with Isabella and Heathcliff, though I've heard from people talking about it online that he was like abusive towards her, which I would believe. That sounds like Heathcliff in the book. But in the movie, I actually kind of was wanting them to be together. I was rooting for them. I was like, y'all kind of actually match each other's freak. I don't know, more than Kathy does. Anyhow, in the movie, I feel like they made Kathy as annoying as she was in the book, but I feel like they made Heathcliff way less annoying and way less like mean and scary than from what I had remembered at least. So it definitely swayed my opinion to like Heathcliff more in the movie than I did in the book. I enjoyed aspects of it, but it's not a love. And I get all the hate. It definitely like got rid of so much social commentary, and yeah, it's just like very one-dimensional compared to the book in terms of themes. But again, I did enjoy it as far off interpretation of the book. It's time for another update on The Blood We Crave. I got about halfway through the book last night, and it is really, really wild and interesting and like very different than other things that I've read. Lyra, our female main character, is like pretty obsessed with Thatcher, our MMC. And I didn't realize just how obsessed she was with him. And as I've gotten farther into it, I've realized she's like low-key stalking him, which I definitely do not condone. Like, stalking is a horrible, awful thing to do, obviously. But it's interesting to see a female main character stalking a male main character. I feel like I've heard of a lot of dark romance where it's opposite, like the guy's the stalker. I was going to say I haven't read any like that, but that's not true. I did read Haunting Adeline, and I think that the male main character in that book stalks her, which I was not a fan of. But this is just, I don't know, it's such an interesting book. I feel like Thatcher knows that Lyra is stalking him, and he like kind of doesn't know how to feel about it. I feel like on one hand, I feel like he doesn't really mind, and on the other hand, he like wants her to stop, but like not for the reasons that you would think. And basically he like wants nothing to do with her really, but she just convinced him to help her with something that I can't mention because I feel like it would be spoilers. But let's just say they both have some violent tendencies, and he is going to help her with that. And no, I do not mean in a sexual way. There is like nothing sexual that's happened between them at all so far. And he still very much seems to want nothing to do with her. But he's like, okay, if I'm going to help you, I'm going to do it my way and like make your life like hell. Just do whatever I want. Like do it my way. And that's where we're at. I don't know where it's going to go from here, especially because this book is broken into 2 parts. I have a feeling that it's going to take them a really, really long time to get together, which I don't mind. I love a good slow burn. We shall see how long it takes until they get together. So I will continue reading after work today, and I will let you know, hopefully soon, my final thoughts on The Blood We Crave Part 1. Hi, vlog. It is time for my final thoughts on The Blood We Crave by Monty J. So I did finish this book up last night, and I really enjoyed it, but it is definitely not going to be for everyone, I feel. I think that I'm going to give this one, I'm like leaning between a 4 and a 4.5, but I think I'll go 4 stars, unless I change my mind later. But yeah, I think 4 stars. It was very enjoyable. I really, really enjoy the underlying like mystery that's going on in this series. I loved our main character, Lyra, getting to see her reach her fullest potential in this book. She is just such an interesting person and has cool hobbies. She loves bugs, and she's like into science, and she likes like creepy things and horror, and I can totally relate to that. And so I just loved her, and her obsession with Thatcher is a little unhinged. Like, not gonna lie, if one of my friends in real life was like, I'm so obsessed with this man and he's like not giving me any attention, but I'm gonna dedicate everything to him, I would be like, what the fuck are you doing? Don't do that. But in the book, it was like I was really living for it, honestly. I just like felt her love so much, and I felt like it was actually kind of seemed beautiful in the book how much she loved him and was obsessed with him despite his, I guess, lack of reciprocation. But when it came down to it, he does have like a soft spot for her. It's just like hard for him to, I guess, express it because he is so cold and calculated and unfeeling, and like doesn't even want to touch or like interact with anyone else. So yeah, it's very, very interesting relationship dynamic. Also, there was some more spicy scenes, and if you are interested in this series or this specific book, just be aware that this book, The Blood We Crave, has some kinks that not everyone might be okay reading about. So check trigger warnings and things. There is a knife play and blood play, several scenes in this book. So if that's something that would trigger you, just know that before going into it. But I did enjoy having like such a variety in the spice, and it was different than anything I'd read. So that was fun. And the ending was super crazy. So there is The Blood We Crave Part 2. So this definitely ended on a cliffhanger. And now I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to read the second book and find out what happens next in Lyra and Thatcher's story. But I don't think I'm going to continue that in this vlog. I'm a little bit dark romanced out at the moment, to be honest. I am like feeling very ready for some fantasy and like ready to switch genres at the moment. So I'm not going to include that in this vlog, but someday I definitely plan to read The Blood We Crave Part 2 because I really, really enjoyed this one. So that is it for my second dark romance vlog. I hope that you all enjoyed. Thank you for hanging out with me and listening to me talk about these books. Let me know down below if you are a dark romance fan and if you have any recommendations for me based off of my thoughts on these books or just things that you like that you'd want to recommend in general. Thank you, everyone. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.